You're listening to CVFM Drive Time with me, Baker Lillivick, and today we're turning our attention to a health issue that affects 1 in 8 men in the UK, and that's prostate cancer. It's the most common cancer in men, yet it's often not spoken about enough, especially in communities where health concerns may go undiscussed until it's too late. Early detection can save lives, but too many men are still unaware of the risks, the symptoms, or the importance of getting checked. This conversation is part of the Cancer Awareness Connect project, which aims to bridge the gap between public health messages and our diverse communities through radio, social media and outreach. Joining me in the studio today is Terry Bytheway from the North East Prostate Cancer Support Group. Terry is a prostate cancer survivor who has turned his own experience into a source of support and hope for others. He's here to share his story and talk about what motivated him to set up a support group for men affected by prostate cancer. How are you doing, Terry?
I'm doing absolutely fine, actually. Absolutely wonderful.
Great to hear, and it's really good to have you in. Of course, we'll talk a little bit about the cancer group that you've set up later on, but we just wanted to get you in for a chat, really, all about prostate cancer. It's an important thing, and it gets talked about a lot now, so I'm glad we can give you this platform, and I'm glad you're here to give us the information. But I think, firstly, if we just talk to you a little bit about your story, really, what can you tell us?
Yeah, my story goes back to about 2017, something like that. And it was at a time when I felt okay, I felt great, no issues. I was going to the toilet a little bit more often than normal, but I thought that was because I was getting old. And therefore I never thought much about it. However, a little bit later in the year, I did see a little bit of blood in my semen, and that sort of, I think, that's not normal, that's not natural. So I need to see the doctor. So I made an appointment for my GP, and it took me 4 weeks to see her, but eventually I got there, and I told her about my symptoms. She said, well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go for a blood test. I'd like to go for what's known as a PSA blood test. PSA stands for prostate specific antigen. And basically it's an antigen that works within the prostate and keeps it sort of fit and working properly. However, if it escapes into the blood, and the more that escapes, obviously the more stress the prostate's under. And if it reaches levels of 4 and 5, or over 5 certainly, then they start looking at it to see whether there are further issues. So anyway, I had the blood test, and as I say, I was hoping it would be okay, but I got a phone call the same night as I had the blood test from the surgery saying, we'd like to see you tomorrow. Now, considering it taken 4 weeks to actually see the doctor, I knew something was wrong. So anyway, I went to see the doctor the next day, and she told me that my PSA was 32, which is quite high, as you can understand. As I say, it should have been around about 4 or 5. So she said, what I'd like to do is a DRE, which is a digital rectum examination, or as people euphemistically call it, a finger up the bum. Now, most men hate that and wouldn't want to do it, but it doesn't have to be done. Let me point that out now. The blood test on its own can start other examinations, such as an MRI scan, for instance. So you don't always have to have that. So don't be afraid to go to your doctor, because the blood test is what you can ask for. Now, after the DRE on me, she said, well, it is rather rough. The prostate should be nice and smooth. Now, let me tell you, the prostate is about the size of a walnut, so it's quite a small little organ, and it sits just below the bladder, and therefore it works with the bladder to control your waterworks, and it also helps to add a liquid to your semen, so that when you ejaculate, it gives it a liquid to actually go with the semen. And that's basically what the prostate does. I never knew what it was. I had no idea. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of men out there won't know what the prostate does. But it is quite an important little organ that we have. Anyway, she said, well, I'll be sending you off to the hospital to have further checks. And there's a 2-week rule, so that you will have a letter on your doorstep within 2 weeks, which I did do. And I went along to James Cook, and they said that, yes, we'd like to do a biopsy, which happened the next day. So I had the biopsy, and the biopsy come back as having cancerous cells in the prostate, to the point whereby they said, well, we would like you to have another test, which is called a bone test, and that finds out whether it's spread. So I had the bone test done, and then when I got to, never forget it, it was the 11th of January 2017, and I was told there and then that I had metastatic prostate cancer, which means it's escaped from the prostate and gone into other parts of the body. They told me I had a tumour on my left hip and a tumour on the back of my skull. Now, that means that it was incurable, but also terminal. And those are the words the doctor used. However, the doctor did say that with the treatments that we have now, we should be able to keep you alive for not just months, but for years. So that was fine. My wife was totally distraught. But eventually, over the years, because this is 8 years ago we're talking about now, I have managed to stay in this condition, which, I feel good, look good. Excuse the expression. What it does is it gives me the impetus to do things.
Yeah.
And that was something which, it's a shame that it took me getting prostate cancer to actually do that. But nevertheless, I was determined that I was a survivor and not a victim. And that's so important, because part of prostate cancer is the physical thing of having the cancer, but then it's also the mental thing of knowing you've got the cancer. And that can bring you down as much, if not more, than the actual physical thing. So it's important to be positive and to look out to the future, because some people think, oh, I have no future. I've got cancer. I'm going to bed with cancer. I'm waking up with cancer. That's not going to help you at all. That's just going to bring you down.
Yeah.
And the important thing is to be positive. So I said to myself, well, come on then. Let's start the treatments. And I did. I started I had hormone treatment immediately. Now, hormone treatment, what that does, it stops the body from producing testosterone, and that feeds the cancer. So if you stop that, you stop feeding the cancer, and the cancer goes into remission, which I have been now for 8 years. But in order to get rid of all the free cells of cancer in my body, which had escaped the prostate, I had chemotherapy. Now, I'm not going to make any bones about it. Chemotherapy is quite a harsh process, but a necessary one. It brought my PSA down from 32 to 0.4, which is remarkable. And the hormone treatment has kept it more or less like that. 8 years later, my PSA is now 0.7. So it's gone up by 0.3 in 8 years. Happy days, which means there is a life after diagnosis. And I've had such a life. I've always wanted to go on stage, and I always talk myself out of it, as you do. Oh, what happens if I mess my lines up? What happens if I, forget to come at the right time, and all those various things. But when you're given diagnosis, then all that goes out the window, and you say, right, basically, I'm going to do what I want to do now.
Yeah.
And I decided I was going to get into theatre. And I did. Within 1 year, I was on stage at Middlesbrough Theatre doing Anything Goes, which is a musical. And it was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed the buzz. I enjoyed everything. Since then, I've done 7 musicals, and I'm in a new one, the 42nd Street. We are bringing Broadway to Middlesbrough. Absolutely fabulous show. And that's on, sorry about this, is not really an advert, but it is in Middlesbrough Theatre, and it's on from the 28th of October through to the 1st of November. I tell you, get your tickets because it's going to be fabulous. Anyway, I digress. My cancer has remained steady. I've done all sorts of things. I have had a fabulous last 8 years, and it's a shame it had to take something like that to start it. But there is life after cancer. Now, it is important, though, to check, to make sure that you haven't got prostate cancer. Now, you might think, oh, it won't happen to me. I feel fit as a fiddle. Well, yeah, so did I.
Yeah. You just don't know, do you?
Absolutely no idea. I know from a fact that a guy who we told about this situation with prostate cancer, he had no symptoms whatsoever, and yet he went and got a PSA blood test done
and came
back positive.
Yeah.
And therefore they caught it early enough to be able to do something about it. That is the important bit. Don't think that because you feel good that you haven't got prostate cancer. Anybody over the age of 50, go and see your GP, ask for a PSA blood test. It could save your life. It might be nothing, and men are always worried, and particularly when you hear the cancer word. And often when men find that they have prostate cancer, all they want to do is have the prostate removed. That's it. Get it out of me. But there are other methods. Radiotherapy works very well. So does the hormone treatment, and it can be removed that way. So the thing is, it's important, really important, to get a test done. So see your GP. If you're over 50, particularly if it's in your family, oh dear me, you must go. Because, as I say, 1 in 8 men will in their lifetime start with prostate cancer. If you have a father, an uncle, a brother who has prostate cancer, your chances are then reduced or increased from 1 in 8 to 1 in 4. Every 4 people, 1 person will develop it. In the black community, it's even worse for men. Normally it's 1 in 4 for them, and if it's in the family, it's 1 in 2. These are horrendous statistics. I can go on to tell you that 55,000 new prostate cancer cases every year in the UK. And of that, that's 150 people a day. Mm. And then around 12,000 prostate cancer deaths in the UK every day. 33 men die every day, 1 every 45 minutes. That's it. Prostate cancer deaths in men in the UK. It's a horrendous figure. These are reasons why you must get checked. Now, it's the third biggest cancer killer in the UK. It's also the second biggest cancer killer in men. The first one obviously being lung cancer.
Yeah.
If you have prostate cancer in the family, as I said, it doubles your risk, and there are often no symptoms. However, let's talk about what symptoms there are, just in case you have any.
Because, like you say, sometimes people can feel fine, sometimes there might be symptoms, but yeah, it would be great if you could tell us a little bit about them symptoms and what people may see, which is maybe a sign after a couple of weeks to go and get checked. Yeah,
sure. The first one and the one which most men dismiss is going to the toilet more often. I used to go. I used to go during the night. I used to go to the toilet. I never used to before I started with the prostate cancer. Before I could always, every night I could sleep right through. Even if I had a couple of beers, I could still sleep through. But men, what they say is, oh, it's because I'm getting older. I said exactly the same thing. It's because I'm getting older. That's why I'm going to the toilet more often. It could be a symptom. And I know it might not be, and there may be many other things that it could be, but it's best to get it checked out. Other one, and these are much more sort of serious ones, and that is if you see semen, blood in your semen, or if you see blood in your urine, those are real red flags.
Yeah.
If you have them, then please, I implore you, go and see your GP.
They're definitely ones that say go and get checked as soon as you can. Yeah.
And it could be something other than prostate cancer. It could be testicular cancer, for instance. But get it checked out, right? And then, of course, other ones, like you're busting to go to the toilet, but you get there and you can't do anything, or when you were younger, you used to be able to hit the ceiling with your flow of urine. When you have prostate cancer, it dribbles on your shoes. You know what I mean? So these are all signs. It's usually waterworks signs, being painful when you go for a pee. These are things which you must bear in mind. They're not maybe just getting older. It may be something behind that, and that's what you have to have checked out.
It's like they're so simple as well. Some of the symptoms, like you say, it's so easy for us men just to put them off and think, oh, maybe I'm just peeing slowly at the moment.
Yeah.
And just maybe I've been drinking too much. Yeah, but whatever, really.
Yeah.
It's just like it's so easy to put them off as other things sometimes, really.
Absolutely, and men are great putter-offers.
Yeah, we certainly are.
we will do anything and we'll say anything to think, oh, well, I'm fine, I'm okay. Why should I go and bother the doctor? I'm sure he's got much more important people to see than
There's
me.
like a stigma around that, isn't there?
Absolutely. In my sort of youth, they wouldn't even call it cancer. They'd say, oh, did you hear Mr. Brown has a big C? Oh, is that right? Well, he won't last long. And that was a thought. And I must admit, in those times when you did get cancer, usually you didn't last long. And that was because in the last 60 years, medical science has improved so much. Even in prostate cancer, new treatments, new things are coming out all the time. And my firm belief is that eventually it will be eradicated. And I think the way it will be eradicated is through immunology. Yeah. And that's where they take your blood, they basically make the fighters, your white corpuscles, then identify your cancer and attack it when they put it back into your bloodstream.
It's one of them things, isn't it, as well? I think it's a masculine thing. It's like there's like a stereotype for men to just be men and to man up around things. And it's important to get that message out there that it's better to be safe than sorry, and you should go and get checked, because the top and bottom is it could just save your life.
Well, that's 100% correct. It's not about, I want to be a man and I want to show that I'm a man and I won't cry, I won't go running to the doctor, I'm a man, I feel great, why should I? All the time in the background you may have prostate cancer, have no symptoms, know nothing about it until it's too late. And we know, through our history, that famous people have got prostate cancer as well. The latest one was Sir Christopher Hoy. Now he's done an awful lot, because with him having prostate cancer and talking about it, there's been an increase in men going to the doctor to see about prostate cancer, and that for me is great news. I'm only a small fry. People won't even, who's Terry Bytheway, But the thing is that if I can just make 1 or 10 men go see the doctor and then get identified as having that prostate cancer and catching it early enough to do something about it, then as far as I'm concerned, I've won. Even
if you just get one person to go and get checked out, and then it comes out they've got it, saves their life, then that's part of your job done.
Absolutely. And when I wake up in the morning, because I got asked this question, I might have been Gary Phillipson, I can't remember. Sorry, that's another radio station. But he said to me, what do you think about, Terry, when you first wake up in the morning? I thought, well, that's a nice question to give me. But anyway, I said, well, actually, what I think about, I've got 3 things. First thing is, it's another day I'm alive. Check the mirror. Yes, it's me. Second thing, it's another day I can enjoy my life and make memories and enjoy what I'm doing. And the third thing is that I want to help other people, because I don't want them to have to put up with the thought of having a terminal disease inside of them, which they could have eradicated if they'd have got caught early enough.
I totally respect what you're doing, and I'm so glad you came in to chat with us today. I think your outlook's fantastic, Terry, because like we were talking about earlier, if somebody gets told that they have cancer or think about cancer, a lot of the thought a lot of the time is just death.
Yeah.
That's the first thing people think about, and it's like going off your story, it's very inspirational, and providing the information you've given us. It's like you can still have a good life.
Yes.
But the important message at the same time is go and get checked early, so that you don't have to reach that point where you get told it's incurable and terminal.
Well, you know how I've managed to control the whole thing in myself. I've given my cancer a name. And you might think that's strange, because I know I've got this cancer for the rest of my life. They can't cure me. So why not give him a name? I've named him Colin. Now,
Colin.
Let me first of all apologise to all the Collins listening. I'm sure you are wonderful people, but my Colin's a baddie. And what I like to do is keep him quiet. And I like him to have a miserable time and me to have a good time. Because the more I'm having a good time, the more miserable Colin is. And the thing is, if I'm feeling down, then I feel Colin's starting to rise and starting to be a bit more happy. And then I suddenly think to myself, no, this is not going to happen.
Push him back down
Push him back down. Go out and enjoy your life. And that's how I've, managed, by making it feel like something I can control. Because I think one of the things people think when they have cancer is, I've lost control of my life. Not necessarily. If you are positive, you maintain that positivity, that will work for you throughout your life.
And you've proved that to us, Terry. But yeah, I like that. So make sure Colin's having a bad time.
Yes. And the thing is, that life doesn't have to be bad. Because you've got cancer, and a lot of people say, "Oh my God, that's horrible." It can, you can live with cancer. It's not, and I have a phrase, and I put it at the bottom of all my emails. I'm living with cancer, not dying from it. And I want to die from something other than prostate cancer. I want to end my life. And that doesn't mean I'm going to jump under a number 36 bus. That means that I want to die of something completely different. Old age would be nice. But, I don't want to die because of prostate cancer. I don't want to be another statistic. And I will do my best to make sure that doesn't happen. And by being positive, here I am 8 years with a terminal illness, and I'm going as strong as I was 8 years ago.
And on the lines of that, you've just set up the North East Prostate Cancer Support Group. So tell me a little bit about this, Terry, how long it's been going, and I was to ask you why you set this group up, but it's evidently clear. But tell me a little bit about the group and what the aims are of this group, just to help other men and give them the information that you've told us today, really.
Yeah. Well, the Prostate Cancer Support Group, I was involved with one previously called the Teesside Prostate Cancer Support Group, and I was chairman there for 5 years. That fell apart because some of the members wanted other things, and I realised that, therefore I stood down. So then, a couple of years later, I've decided to start again with the Prostate Cancer Support Group. I've named it the North East Prostate Cancer Support Group because there are actually at the moment 2 branches. There's one in Middlesbrough, and we have our next meeting, our first meeting actually, on the 31st of July, which is Thursday.
Few days' time.
Yeah. So if you're around, and the venue is the St. Clair's Church, which I think is 102 Lower Lane, just not far from the Bluebell. And St. Clair's Church, I'll be running a meeting from 6 o'clock. So 6 p.m. that is, on Thursday, the 31st of July. Get yourself there, even if you're just interested in the subject. Doesn't have to be because you've got prostate cancer. if you're feeling a little bit strange about coming along, why don't you bring a friend or a member of the family? Because everybody is welcome. Don't forget, when a man has prostate cancer, it's not just him that suffers, it's his friends and family. Because they feel like, what can I do? And they feel helpless. It's up to you to help them by showing them I'm fine. Look at me, I'm getting on with my life, and I just want you to treat me normally. Because often they don't know what to say. I have had somebody tell me that they had a friend, and they were walking along the road. They were on the same side, so they were going to meet up. But because that friend didn't really know what to say, they crossed over the road to avoid them. Because they don't know what to say, and they don't want to say the wrong things. So it's important that you go and you tell them, saying, look, don't worry about me, I'll be fine. Just treat me as normal and we'll get along great. So part of the prostate cancer support group is to support men. Because we're going to get men like myself who've got prostate cancer or had prostate cancer, but have had many, many different treatments. Chemotherapy, radiotherapy, brachytherapy. There's lots of different things that they could have gone through. And it's important that we can tell our knowledge of what happened to us, how we went through. Okay, we know every man is different, and they will go through treatments, etc., maybe slightly differently, but at least they've got some knowledge of somebody else who's gone through it and what happened to them. Doesn't mean to say it'll happen the same way, but it gives them an idea, and it sometimes makes them feel better. I remember going to my first prostate cancer meeting, and a guy shouted, he said, Terry, don't you worry about your prognosis. I was given that prognosis 20 years ago. Now, to hear somebody say that, it gives you a massive lift, because it thinks, you don't know how long you've got. When you're given a terminal diagnosis, you don't know how long. Is it a week, a month, a year? But because of that, it lifts you. So being at these prostate cancer meetings, meeting like people, it definitely does help and support you and gives you encouragement. It's not all doom and gloom.
You're absolutely right, and I think the work you're doing is amazing, Terry, so well done again. And just wanted to point out that the 31st of July is the first meeting, but then you've got other meetings too, once a month for the rest of the year: 28th of August, 25th of September, 23rd of October, 20th of November and 18th of December. And membership is open to all men and their families going through this, like we've just mentioned. But can you tell me a little bit about how people can reach you and get in touch if they do wish to become a member?
I have a Facebook account which again goes under the name of Northeast Prostate Cancer Support Group. Now if you go on the Facebook and look up that, then you will find when the next meetings are, because I have meetings not only at Middlesbrough, which is the one we've talked about, but also in Gisborough. And it's possible that in the future I might look at Hartlepool. I was actually doing one at Darlington, but there's another guy who's I went to his meeting the other day, and so there is one in Darlington as well if you're in that area. So it's just trying to give people of the area some place to go to. So it's not too far away, but at the same time, they're going to get the same sort of encouragement and support. So that's probably a main source of getting in touch with me. All my details are on there, my email address, my phone number. If you just want to ring me up and talk, I've done this thousands of times. People ring me and ask me my advice. I'm quite knowledgeable, but that's because I wanted to know everything. In 8 years, I've found out everything I wanted to know. And I produce a newsletter every month which gives you the latest information on what's happening in the prostate cancer world. So you will get a copy of that as well. It's free of charge. We will try and provide also tea and coffee for you. And it is well worth the visit, even just for peace of mind.
You're absolutely right, and again, Terry, massive credit to the work that you're doing. So hopefully you get more members signed up, and just another thing on our behalf, you did drop some flyers off for us, so if anybody wants to swing by the studio and pick one of these up, then people know where we are, 169 Victoria Road in Middlesbrough. But Terry, thanks so much for coming in again, and as a final question, just can you give people a little bit of a call to action if there's men out there that are on the fence about getting checked and have put it off before? Tell us about what advice you'd give them.
Okay, the advice is quite simple. Irrespective of whether you feel great or not, if you're over 50, then get to the GP and ask for a PSA blood test. It's a simple test. They just take the blood. That blood goes off to James Cook and gets tested. If you have prostate cancer, or if you have issues like a high PSA, then you'll get called back. If not, they'll say everything is fine and you needn't worry. But it's best to get checked maybe every couple of years, because it could develop any time. Usually, as I say, over 50, but men have actually got it before 50, and usually around about the 60 to 63 mark is your danger zone. If you are of those ages, then I'm telling you, get it checked. If it's over 63 even, then it can still develop. One of the things which develop, which isn't prostate cancer, is enlarged prostate, and that's very common amongst men. So get checked.
I think that's a wise way to finish, and a great piece of advice. And Terry, thanks so much for coming on again, joining us and sharing your story, and I'm sure and hopefully it will help many more men out there.
I'd like to thank CVFM for the opportunity to do this. I think they're a great community radio.
Thank you very much, Terry. We appreciate that, and yeah, thanks for coming in again.